Assalamu alaikum, this is Dr. Mona Al-Idrisi, author of the Muslim Narcissist book. In today's podcast, I'll be speaking about the importance of empathy and elevating your nafs to the status of being an empath. So I've noticed on this channel and other channels as well that there are lots of empaths who do come here to find answers for their experiences with narcissistic individuals and also for information on how to deal with narcissists in their own families and friendship circles. So what makes empaths unique is their ability to feel things very deeply. So they can put themselves in the shoes of other people and they can experience and feel emotions, all sorts of emotions at a very deep level. So they can experience pain very deeply and they can also experience happiness very deeply, unlike narcissists. So this is something that is very unique to empaths and it makes them very highly intuitive. And being highly intuitive means that they are more emotionally intelligent than other people, which can help them deal with their emotions and also with other people in life. Do hit the subscribe button if you like this content, because I'm going to be releasing so many more podcasts that are related to this subject and the subject of narcissism, personality disorders and other subjects. So do share, do like and do subscribe if you find that this content is really helping you, because by liking and sharing you help to grow this YouTube community where we can really push out this information to those who need it. So going back to empaths, so as I was saying before, empaths have the ability to experience pain and happiness both on deep levels when narcissists can't. Narcissists have a cap to how much they are able to experience happiness, so they will only allow themselves to be happy to a certain extent, to a certain level. So you will find that no matter what comes along in their life as a happy experience or, something good that may happen to them, they don't express that much happiness and they don't allow themselves to fully experience that happiness because they have put a limit to it. So for example, they may have received some really good news. Someone else would have really celebrated and expressed joy and happiness for a few days, whereas a narcissist would express happiness for maybe a couple of hours and then they go back to being moody again, they go back to being miserable again, because that's the limit that they've set themselves. And they do it subconsciously. They don't do it knowing that that's happening. They do it because it's just a part of their disorder. You never really see them laugh from their bellies. You never really see them laugh genuinely. That pure happiness doesn't come out from a narcissist's soul, but it does from an empath. And in many cases, the narcissist will really envy the empath when they see the empath express so much joy, and that's why they're party poopers, right? That's why they have to shut you down immediately when they see you so happy, because they can't stand to see you that happy, because they're unable to experience it themselves. They've got a limit on theirs. So whenever the narcissist sees that you're really happy about some good news that's come to you, or you've achieved something, or you're celebrating something, they're very quick to put a damper on that mood. They will create a problem. They will do whatever it takes to limit your happiness as well and cut it short, because they don't have that ability. So empaths have a lot of abilities that narcissists don't, and narcissists really envy the empath for that. They envy the empath for having faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They envy the empath for being able to pray and enjoy praying and having a connection with Allah. They envy the empath for being able to deal with their emotions properly. They envy the empath for dealing with life problems more efficiently, for dealing with anger efficiently, for being loved by people, for being able to just give love and, not expect anything in return. The narcissist would love all of that. They would love to experience all of that. I mean, they even find it strange when an empath is so romantic. They look at them and think, what is wrong with you to be this romantic and be this happy and be this joyful all the time? They don't understand it. So they have to ruin it, because the more they see it, the more uncomfortable they get and the more unhappy they feel. Like, hey, is there something wrong with me because I can't be that romantic? I can't have those feelings. I can't give that kind of love. Something must be wrong with me. So the empath in the narcissist's life, although the empath helps them to get better by not allowing them to abuse them, the empath also shows the narcissist everything that they're not. So that's the power of the empath. They have the ability to really be present in all the emotions to the max. And this is why empaths are important in the world, because of their ability to be able to step into someone else's shoes and help them with their problems and help them elevate in life. And that's why the empath in a narcissist's life is so incredible, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send a narcissist one golden chance in their life to be helped by an empath. So the empath doesn't come around twice in a narcissist's life. That high level, high value empath who has come to really elevate the life of the narcissist, help pull them out of that well, pull them out of that pit, encourage them to do something with their life, encourage them to find God, and encourage them to work on their business, work on their potential, work on them as people, help them with self-development, help them with their character. All of that comes as a gift to the narcissist from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it's one way in which a narcissist can improve in their life with the help and the mentoring of an empath that they admire but can't be like. So if you were someone who wanted to start a company, a business, the best person you could get mentoring from is someone who's already made it, someone who's already got a multi-million-pound successful company. You would want to be mentored by such a person who you look up to and admire, because you can see the results of their hard work. You will trust their advice. You will trust that they know what they're talking about when they tell you to do this and that in your business. So it's the same with the empath in a narcissist's life. The narcissist knows that the empath has a good life. The empath, because of who they are, they've come out to be a great person who is loved by everybody. And they know that if they keep the empath in their life for long enough, they can get better. And like I said before in previous podcasts, they do. A narcissist can get better being in the presence of an empath, but their qareen doesn't allow them to continue. Their qareen does not allow the narcissist to continue, because the qareen's mission is to ruin and destroy the life of this narcissist. They don't want the narcissist to get better. They want to ruin the narcissist and everyone that comes into contact with that narcissist. So until the narcissist realizes this and realizes that the empath is helping them and that the empath is helping them to overpower their qareen, and that they need to overpower their qareen in order to be able to be mentored by the empath properly and elevate in their nafs, nothing's going to change. The narcissist will self-sabotage that relationship at the command of their qareen and exit a great situation for them. And that's why a lot of narcissists, after they leave an empath, they regret it deeply. They look back and they think, why did I do that? I was in the best situation with a great person who could have helped me. Why did I self-sabotage that? A lot of narcissists do not know why they did that. Because it is the equivalent of abandoning an amazing business mentor who could have helped you make millions from your business and achieve such a high level of success, but you ruin your relationship with that mentor over really petty, stupid reasons, and then, go on in life not being successful, hopping from business to business, not succeeding in any, because you haven't taken on the business advice of that mentor who was there to help you. He was happy to sit there with you and help you elevate and make something out of your company, but you self-sabotage that relationship with him. Maybe you disrespected him. Maybe you did something, whatever it was, to ruin your relationship with that mentor. And now you've lost out on the best opportunity of your life to learn how to create a multi-million-pound business. It's the same thing. I'm just using this as an equivalent for you to understand that this is what the narcissist loses with the empath. And they lose it in the dunya and the akhirah and the hereafter as well. Because what the empath will teach and give the narcissist is beneficial for both lifetimes. So the value of the empath lies in their ability to help others because they have an overflowing cup of goodness that they can share. And we need empaths in the world because without empaths, we wouldn't have people, campaigning against poverty. We wouldn't have people campaigning against animal cruelty and child cruelty and so many other things in the world where, issues that they're trying to fix, and so on and so forth. So having empathy is the greatest gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you do not have empathy, you have nothing. You have nothing. And like I said before, again in previous podcasts, you can raise your level of empathy by decreasing your level of arrogance. And you do that by training your qareen. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, whoever wishes to be saved from the hereafter, from the punishments of the hereafter, and be admitted into paradise as desired, they should believe in Allah and the last day and treat other people the way they themselves would like to be treated. This is Sahih Muslim. This is a fundamental teaching in Islam. Treat people in the way that you would like to be treated and you'll be fine. You'll be saved on the Day of Judgment because you will not have a huge queue of people lining up to take their rights from you because you've oppressed them and treated them terribly. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ also said, shall I not tell you for whom the hellfire is forbidden? It is every person who is gentle, empathic and kind. This is in Sunan Al-Tirmidhi. Like, gentle, empathic and kind. The hellfire is forbidden for those people. A lot of people say, what about non-Muslims who are empaths? Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. On the Day of Judgment, they will have their tests. They will have their tests. Because the hadith clearly states that anyone who is gentle, empathic and kind will be saved from the hellfire. It doesn't omit people who are not Muslim, but those non-Muslims will be tested on the Day of Judgment for their belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will have their own special tests if they were to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as non-believers, but they happen to be empathic, kind and gentle. Allah has a special accounting for them. But that's how important it is to be gentle, empathic and kind. So never underestimate the gift of being gentle, empathic and kind, because it's the best thing you can possess for this life and the next, whether you're empaths or you're people with a high level of empathy. So there's another hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ where he says, kindness is not to be found in anything, but that it adds to its beauty, and it is not withdrawn from anything, but it makes it defective. Sahih Muslim. So here we can see that the nature of the empath is a giver. Okay, it's a giving nature where the empath wants to serve without harming themselves in the process. They serve because they have so much love and kindness to give others, especially those who are in need of charity and those who are vulnerable. Okay, and those who need fixing, those people who are broken, depressed, people who have lost everything. You'll find that the empath is the first person to jump to the rescue of that person in distress. And there was a narration by Imam Ali radiallahu anhu where he said, Allah has elected some people from his creation for fulfilling the needs of the destitute. So fulfilling the needs of those who are deeply in need of your charity and help is one of the greatest acts of charity that a Muslim, especially a Muslim, a believer can do for somebody. And it's so significant that it's become a part of someone actually being a believer. And there's also a hadith narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu where he said, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, a Muslim is the brother of a Muslim. He does not wrong him, nor does he forsake him when he is in need. Whoever fulfills the needs of his brother, Allah will fulfill his needs. Whoever removes a distress from a believer, Allah will remove from him a distress from the day of judgment. And whoever conceals the faults of a Muslim, Allah will conceal his faults on the day of resurrection. So when you say his, this applies to women as well. But this is how important empathy is. All these hadiths are all about empathy and the importance of having mercy. Because if you have empathy, you have mercy. If you see someone in distress, the merciful part of you will want to help that person. If you see an animal in distress or an animal who is hurt, you will want to jump to the rescue of that animal and save them from even more pain and possibly death. So mercy comes from kindness and empathy. And, if you look in Surah At-Tawbah, ayah number 128, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِتُّمْ حَرِيصٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَءُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. There certainly has come to you a messenger from among yourselves. He is concerned by your suffering, anxious for your well-being, and gracious and merciful to the believers. So can you see why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala favoured the Prophet Muhammad so much? Because he was concerned by people's suffering, anxious about people's well-being. He wants everyone to be happy, everyone to live well, and gracious and merciful to the believers. So those are the four main elements in someone's character that are needed for you to be an empathic Muslim. And if you do not have these four elements of what the Prophet Muhammad came to teach us in our character, then you've got a problem. You've got a big problem. You've got a massive void in your idea of what a believer should be. And again, I've said this 100 times before. This is why a lot of people who come across as being Muslims and they claim to be believers, they come across as being very harsh and arrogant, and they've got no mercy. They don't care about other people. They've got no empathy. How can you be a believer when you can't even take your own prophet as a role model for yourself, where you do not embody his beautiful characteristics in your character so that you can be loved? How can you say that this prophet is the one, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is the one you've taken as your role model and the one you look up to, when you can't even be like him in character? So there's a reason why prophets have been chosen, and it's not because they were perfect human beings. No one is a perfect human being. I'm going to do a podcast about this inshallah later, about the prophets and their characters and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted us to learn from them. No prophet came perfect, but all the prophets, subhanallah, they came with these four elements in their characters. They had that concern for their people. They had that worry for their people. They didn't want their people to worry and perish and be punished, and they didn't want any of that. Even Al-Khulafa Ar-Rashideen, look at Umar ibn al-Khattab. I love the story of Umar ibn al-Khattab. There was no poverty in his time because of his care for his people, the care he had for his ummah. He didn't want one person, out of empathy, he didn't want one person to go to sleep hungry. And he would walk himself amongst the people around the neighborhoods. He would walk himself at night to check that everyone is okay, everyone has eaten, everyone is living comfortably. And he set up, Bayt al-Mal for those people who were struggling. Like, that is a characteristic of an excellent leader. And this can be applied to a man's leadership in his own home, an employer's leadership, a president's leadership. It can be applied to many different types of leadership, but in order for you to be a leader and a preacher, you have to have a very high level of empathy, because you are now responsible for the well-being of a lot of people in your care, and that can be the educational well-being as well. You've got to be very careful what you're teaching people, because if you're giving people the wrong knowledge that encourages the behaviour of being narcissistic or being arrogant or having low empathy, then know that you are teaching the wrong knowledge to people, because knowledge that is void of empathy is not knowledge. It's not knowledge that is beneficial to anybody, especially when it comes to Islamic teachings. And this is where a lot of parents get it wrong as well. A lot of parents who raise their children with an Islamic, with an Islamic foundation, they do it wrong. Again, this is a podcast for another day, inshallah, but it's coming this month. I'll be speaking about the serious flaws in our Islamic upbringing and how Islam is being taught to children and new Muslims as well, and non-Muslims too. Like, it's shocking how much empathy is drained from the teachings of Islam in preaching, in da'wah, and when trying to discipline children. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, every act of kindness is charity. This is in Sahih Bukhari. So on the Day of Judgment, you'll find that maybe you weren't as productive as you should have been in your worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it will be your acts of kindness and charity that will save you on that day, because you've got into the habit of being kind and being generous and being empathic and wanting to help people out. Now, a true empath, in Islamic terms, is not somebody who puts everyone's needs before theirs. I just really want to stress on this point, because a lot of people will be, they'll be presented with opportunities where they can help others, but it will be at the expense of their own health, their own time, their own peace, their own money. They will have to really inconvenience themselves and harm themselves in order to help other people. Islamically, this is not correct. Okay, Islamically, you need to put your well-being first, because you do not benefit yourself or other people if your iman has taken a hit, if your physical health has taken a hit, if you're not sleeping, if you're not eating properly because you're running around helping people, if your health is deteriorating because you're giving up all your free time that you need to rest to help other people. This is not Islamic behavior. You have to have boundaries, and your own body and your soul have rights over you. They have rights over you. You need to rest. You need to take care of yourself. You need to, put yourself in a position where you are always operating at optimum level. Physically, mentally, spiritually. That is the high empath. That's the high value empath. Someone who operates at that high level without sacrificing, their qualities and what makes them so great and what helps them to become so great. Without physical health, you can't do much. Without iman and spirituality, you can't do much. You can't go far in life. However, this is a trait of codependency. So the codependent will do this for other people, because the codependent is a people pleaser. The codependent is someone who will go out of their way to help others, and they will completely neglect themselves. And that's why you see so many codependents who are really ill. They are either very obese or very thin. They don't have much iman. They resent everybody because they feel that they have to put everyone's needs before theirs in order to be liked and loved. So they start to develop a resentment for everybody, especially when they're not getting the same treatment back. Because narcissists, I'm telling you, narcissists will trample all over codependents who are people pleasers without feeling any need to reciprocate or give anything back, because they can clearly see that the codependent is doing all of this just to seek their approval. So what incentive do they have to give back? None at all. Absolutely none. So the codependent is the one who gets burnt out, starts to hate people, starts to hate themselves for being so nice, and they lose a lot in the process of putting others before them. Even if they're doing it for charitable purposes, they find that in order for people to see them as good people and to be loved and praised and validated for what they do, they lose a lot of themselves in the process. And this is one of the downsides of doing things that are not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you don't have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the goal, you will always be let down by people, and you will always harm yourself in the process. When you live to please the people, you will only get so far. But when you do things for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like the empath does, then you will know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also wants you to honor yourself and take care of yourself so that you can help other people. Because you being depleted from everything doesn't help you as a Muslim, and doesn't help others. And it also doesn't help your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you're just too tired to pray, when you're just so exhausted, when you're just so sick of being around people because you just feel like they're all taking advantage of you. And the reason why I say it's so important for an empath to put themselves first, before helping others, especially when it's not urgent. So there's, obviously if you're in a critical situation, an emergency where you do need to put others before yourself, then by all means do. Because, for example, if you've got to save someone from a burning house, then you're not going to think about yourself in that particular moment in time. You're just going to run into that house and save who you can. That's different. But when you have a choice of giving up some time, money, energy, resources to help someone, you need to weigh out first, is this going to harm me? If yes, don't do it. If no, then go ahead. It's that simple for an empath. However, the biggest issue that the empath has with narcissists is that the narcissists think that they're idiots. The narcissists think and believe that the empath is a fool to be so kind, so generous and so nice. So when an empath comes across a narcissist, now obviously the empath is not going to get into a relationship with somebody knowing that they're a narcissist. They will be drawn into a relationship with a narcissist because that narcissist can fake empathy. So high-level professional narcissists can fake empathy very well, and that's how they can get an empath into their life. Otherwise they can't, right? So most narcissists will try their love bombing, and it doesn't work on empaths. It works on codependents, but it doesn't work on empaths. So the narcissist knows that in order to land themselves an empath, they have to mirror the empath. They have to pretend to be like the empath here. So that's the only way. That's the only way a narcissist can get someone so wonderful into their lives, okay? So because the narcissist has the fake empathy, they don't actually believe that anyone is like that genuinely, because they find it so hard to fake. And that's why the mask comes off, sooner or later, because they find it so hard to be nice and charitable and giving and loving. It makes them feel really exhausted and drained all the time. They're like, oh God, how can someone be like this all the time? It's not possible. They don't believe it's possible for anybody to be empathic all the time. They don't believe it exists, okay? Because they have such a hard time pretending to be empathic. So when they come across an empath, and the empath is the same way, the same way that they normally are, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months down the line, they're now thinking that this empath is a more superior narcissist who can fake empathy for longer. So they don't trust the empath. They spend a long time not trusting the empath because they believe that this is a person who is even more superior in their narcissism and even more superior in being able to fake empathy. So it becomes very difficult for a narcissist to really grasp the idea that someone can actually genuinely be like that. And that's why they never take the help of the empath on, because they think that you're putting it on. They think you're putting an act on. It's only later on when it starts to dawn on them that actually maybe people like this do exist. And then when they realise that, the moment they realise that it actually could be genuine, their qareen punches them in the face and knocks them out. Like, nope, I can't let you realise that. I cannot let you come to that realization, because if you realize that that's real, people like that do exist, you're going to want to be like them. And you're going to want to learn how to be like them. And you're going to have hope. And you're going to take this person on as a mentor. And you're going to get better. And what am I going to do then? What am I going to report to the shaitan after that? I'm going to fail in my mission. No, I can't let you realize that this is actually genuine. So the moment a narcissist realizes that actually, it could be a year later, months later, whenever, when they realize that actually, no, this person is more advanced than a narcissist who's just mirroring and faking it. Because they can recognize other narcissists, they will get to a point where they will think, he or she can't be a narcissist. Like, this is way too advanced for any of us. Maybe it is real. Maybe people like that do exist. Qareen will stop him there and then. That, my friend, is when the narcissist will self-sabotage the relationship. The Qareen has to get him or her out of that relationship as soon as possible. As soon as possible, when they come to that realization that the empath is genuine. And that's why they're always so confused. When they do the reverse discard and you walk away, they're still in a state of confusion. Like, what just happened? Who was I living with? Was I living with an angel or something? Like, what on earth was I living with? And it takes them a long time to process what happened. And when they realize that there are good people in this world, like genuinely good people, it causes a huge dilemma for them. And that's why the narcissist spends the rest of his or her life thinking about you, thinking about the empath. Because they can't believe that good people actually exist. Because their environments that they choose to be in are full of toxic people. Full of toxic people. And full of people who are fake. And people who pretend to be empathic. And people who pretend to be good and nice and religious. So it takes them a long time to actually realize and believe that someone is like that because they're genuine. But in the beginning, when they come across an empath, they think you're another narcissist who's just very good at the game. Very, very good at the game. And they think you're an idiot because your empathy and your kindness and generosity, they see it as people-pleasing. So they think that you're codependent. They see your kindness and willing to help them and willing, to take them on board and offer them so much. It's the equivalent of someone leaving 10 gold bars by the street, by the curb, and just waiting for anyone to come and grab it. That's how they see the empath. They see the empath as an idiot. And so, because the narcissist nature is a taker and the empath is a giver, they're drawn. He or she is drawn to the empath because they don't really have much to give, but they're happy to take a lot. And so they latch on to the empath, and they're in it for the ride. So they're never serious about you from the beginning. Because again, like I said, they think you're another narcissist. But if you're willing to offer these gold bars for free, I'm in. Oh, I'm in. I'll jump on that ride happily. And they'll take and they'll take and they'll take until the empath one day realizes, hold on, what am I getting out of this? What am I getting out of this relationship? I'm giving everything. And this person just seems happy to take and not learn. This person seems happy to take and not actually improve as a person. And then the empath gets really fed up. Really, really fed up of being with someone like this who's not even willing to help themselves. So the empath is trying to help them, but they notice over time that this person is not willing to help themselves. And it just reaches a dead end. And this could be a parent, by the way. This doesn't just have to be a partner. You can apply this to a relationship with a sibling, with your children, with your parents, anyone who is problematic. If you're empathic, you will find that it's the same relationship with every narcissist in your life, where they're just happy to take and use, take advantage of you completely because you're so kind and so empathic and you want to help. And then at the same time realise that they're not actually putting in the work to help themselves. Every time you suggest that they take a course or they go to counselling or therapy or read a book, they don't want to. Just spoon feed them while it lasts. So they're lapping it up while it lasts. Now, if you are an empath in a family dynamic, your parents and your siblings will know that you're empathic because they've seen you since you were a child, right? Since you were born, they've seen you grow. They know that you're a good person. But someone who you've just met, so for example, as a potential husband or wife, they're not going to know, so they think that you're faking it. But your family members know. And that's why problematic relationships within the family for an empath is very painful. Because, I always hear it, but, my family know that I'm a good person. My family know that I'm like this and I'm like that, and I've given up so much to help them and do things for them. Why can't they appreciate me? Why are they always so horrible to me, despite the fact that I really go out of my way to do things for them and, and to be there for them. Again, there is a difference between the empath and the codependent here. The codependent, like I said, will trample on their values and principles if they have to help others. But the empath will do it because they believe it's the right thing to do. That's the difference. So, for example, if an empath is asked by one of her brothers to fund his business or something like that, she will help. She will help him get married. She might not get married. She might delay marriage for a few years to look after her parents. It's affecting her life, obviously. But she's taking on the responsibility of a very neglectful brother that she might have, who's supposed to take care of his parents, but because he's so neglectful and he's narcissistic, she's had to take on that role, and she's had to give up years of her life being married and having children because no one's there to take on the responsibility of, looking after their parents, and that's out of mercy and kindness and a charitable act. So it's not because she's trying to people please. Sometimes the empath is put in a situation where they have to sacrifice and give so much. The narcissist doesn't understand this. The narcissist thinks that you're just trying to impress everybody. When an empath looks after the narcissist, they cook and, cook nice meals, they dress up nicely, they pray, whatever it is that they do, they look after their children if they're a stepmother or a stepfather. The narcissist will look at this empath like, wow, they're really trying hard to impress me, not knowing that that's in their nature. It's in an empath's nature to be like that, naturally. Like he or she will naturally be wonderful with your children and happy to cook and happy to... It's not because they're trying to impress the narcissist. It's because this is who they are. But because the narcissist doesn't understand and cannot actually comprehend that there are people like that who are genuinely, naturally like that, they will always treat you like you are desperately seeking their approval and desperately trying to impress them, not knowing that what you do is just normal. They don't understand that, and that's why they treat you accordingly. And that's why the empath gets really hurt, because the empath just wants to show love through the way that they are naturally. But the narcissist treats them like they're desperate. The narcissist will treat them like, oh, I'm so high and mighty now. Look at everything you're doing for me. I must be really special. Let me see if there's other supply out there who will want me now, because now I feel so important. You've made me feel so grandiose and special. And the narcissist gets even more arrogant being with an empath, because you've made them feel important by doing things that you'd normally do for anyone else. It's not because they're special you're treating them that way. The way that you treat this person is the same way an empath would treat any other person in their life. But they don't know that. The narcissist doesn't know this. He or she thinks that they're getting king or queen treatment by you doing the basic minimum, the standard stuff that you would do as an empath to look after people. They don't understand. Because in the world that they live in, toxic people and other narcissists don't care about other people's children. They wouldn't cook a meal. I've met someone in my life, he's never had a meal cooked for him in his life before by anybody. That's the kind of environment they come from. So when you take on a narcissist, whether it's a man or a woman, and you start doing nice things for them, be it basic minimum, they will see it as something big. And they will see it like you're trying to impress them because they've never been treated like that before in their lives. Narcissistic women don't take care of their husbands. Narcissistic husbands do not emotionally take care of their wives. So when they get that from an empath, they're thinking, yeah, she's desperate or he's desperate. And then they start to have this false perception of themselves that they are so high and mighty now because you've put them on a pedestal with the basic minimum. And that's not even you going out of your way for them. So they get really arrogant. They start devaluing you because, again, the qareen makes them see it that way. And then they self-sabotage, right? They self-sabotage when they realise, actually, this is genuine. This isn't fake. She's not trying to impress me. He's not going out of his way for me. This is who he is with everybody. Oh, damn. What am I going to do now? Self-sabotage. Mission aborted. Qareen puts that finger firmly on that button, on that bomb to end the whole thing. It's them. You will always find, if you look into your lives, okay, if you're an empath, look into your relationship now or look into your past relationship when this happened. I promise you'll be able to pinpoint this moment in time. The narcissist left as soon as they realised you were actually genuine. They were faced with a dilemma. It was actually easier for them to believe that you were a narcissist the whole time. It made them feel better. But the moment they realise that everything you did for them, you did because you loved them and you did it out of your own genuine nature, that's the moment it hits them that they have to leave. So you will always find that moment happened when they realised, I'm with a completely different kettle of fish here. I don't know what I'm dealing with. I need to get out. And they sabotage everything. Petty arguments over nothing. Whatever it is that they caused or they did to make that relationship end, it would have been that moment they realised they're not dealing with another narcissist. And the qareen has to get them out of that situation as soon as possible. So, yeah, narcissists will always believe that kindness is a fool's paradise. They don't believe that you can live life being kind and charitable. They believe that you have to live life like a wolf. You always have to have the upper hand, always have to have control over everything and everybody. You got to milk a situation for what you can. Take as much as you can from a situation. Take advantage. That's how they live their lives. It's the only way they know how to live their lives, and they learned that from childhood. They learned how to get away with living life like that from a very young age. So they see kindness and empathy as weakness. And if you're raised that way, to believe that kindness and empathy is a weakness, you will never be able to see the help that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends you in your life to elevate you. You will never see it. Because you've programmed your mindset to believe that. To believe that everything good is actually everything bad. And that's the distorted reality narcissists live in. They don't live in reality. They live in a very distorted reality because that is how they choose to think and see the world. And if the narcissist does give you anything, or they invest in you, or maybe in the love bombing phase when they are investing and they're giving gifts and love and affection and validation and everything, but you better believe that they're doing it because they're anticipating a return a very good return. They would not invest in people and waste their time if they did not anticipate that they would get a good return out of this individual, whether it's an empath or a codependent. So their relationships are always transactional. They're always very business-like. I will do this for you, and I expect you to do this for me. It's like, the misogynistic Muslim man's mindset when I hear it all the time. It's always online. When he says, I will provide, I'll be the provider, I will pay your rent and I'll pay your bills and I'll pay for your food and drink. But in return, I want blind obedience. In return, I want a maid. In return, I want this and I want that. It's not meant to be transactional like that. It's not meant to be transactional, but a narcissist will do it that way. They will only give and provide and do these things for you. The basic minimum, by the way, they won't go out of their way. They will always give you the basic minimum in return for you being a complete doormat to them. Because they feel like they've earned it by investing and being a provider, forgetting that they're going to be living in the same house anyway. The rent and the bills that they pay anyway is for them too. It's for them as well. But the narcissist tries to con you into believing that you're getting a good deal out of what they're investing, when you actually end up giving back so much more for the very little that they invest in you. And that's why they think that empaths are stupid. Because when you give and give and give so much, they know that they're not. The investment that they've put into that relationship isn't worth what they're getting. It's peanuts. They're getting way more than what they anticipated. So they don't respect you or love you for it. They just think you're stupid. Do you know what I mean? Unfortunately, that is the narcissist mindset. And they will do their best to get away with as little as possible. I will do this for you. I will provide and do this and do that. But I want a slave for life. I want a maid for life. I want you to never argue with me for life. And then you just have to weigh it out and think, okay, I'm just using this example because I'm trying to keep this within a Muslim context, and this is something that a lot of women struggle with. Again, podcast for another day about submission and obedience and everything. But this is what a lot of Muslims will do. They will offer you the absolute bare minimum of something as an investment and expect the world back. Expect so much more than what they invest in, and then they get annoyed when the person who is receiving this offer isn't okay with it. They get really annoyed and they get angry because they're not getting away. They're not getting away with making this stupid investment. They're not getting away with it. Some people hold them to a higher standard. Like, okay, if you want this type of person, if you want this type of love, you want this type of loyalty, you want this, you want that, then I need more. I need more out of that. As soon as you tell a narcissist you need more, they're out the door. You won't see them again. They're already on to the next source of supply, grooming their new victim. They won't hang around to listen to the end of that sentence. They're already out the door. Because when you hold them to a higher standard of investment, they don't like it. No one gets to tell them what to do, especially not the empath that who they already believe is stupid. So they will just go to someone who is completely naive and who will accept such a low investment of whatever it is that they're willing to give in return for what they have. Sometimes they don't even have to invest anything. Sometimes you'll find men, for example, they'll go around and they get to sleep with women for free without investing anything at all. Just a couple of sweet words, a bit of charm here and there, maybe a coffee. And just because the woman has now fallen for his charm, she's allowed him to sleep with her for free. This is a narcissist paradise. The less they invest in people, the better. If they can get away with getting what they want and not having to put in the work or put in the effort to have it. So they will switch on their charm and they will switch on their swagger in order to get what they want out of people. And if it doesn't work, okay, here's some peanuts of investment. Some peanuts. And if you're only giving peanuts back, they're not interested. Oh, they'll move on to somebody else. You know, they give you peanuts and they want something much bigger in return. It doesn't work that way. But in a narcissist mind, it does. So I hope, inshallah, that kind of makes sense to you, because, you know, empaths, you've got to hold yourselves to a higher standard. You cannot be accepting peanuts from people who believe that you are stupid. These people do. They believe that, you know, anyone who's empathic is stupid. So never, ever, ever, if you've got particular standards that you hold people to, whether it's family members or friends or potential or your husband or your wife, don't ever lower that standard, because always remember that the narcissist mindset is different. So you might lower your standard out of mercy, you know, out of being compromising and easygoing and down to earth, but they're not seeing it in the same way, and that's why you get nothing out of it. You get nothing out of being that way and so compromising and so understanding, because you and them don't have the same mindset. You're doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to make your life more peaceful and to make everything easier. And they're on the other side thinking, oh, what an idiot. Now I'm getting even more out of this investment and I haven't even done anything. Just a bit of guilt tripping here and there, a bit of moaning here and there, a bit of complaining here and there. She lowered her boundaries or he lowered his boundaries. Never do it. Never do it. Because a narcissist won't respect you if you do. So honor your empathy. Honor the empathy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you to have a good life, to have a good marriage, to have a good relationship with people. If you start lowering your standards and lowering your boundaries to please other people, you now fall into the category of being codependent. Stay in the category of being empathic. I'm going to do another podcast about this one too, because just because someone has reached the level of empath does not mean that they're going to stay there, okay? So a lot of people, again, don't understand that. I've got to do another podcast, inshallah, to not make this one too long. But, you know, you've just got to be really aware and alert of the category that you place yourself in, so that you don't slip. You don't slip into being codependent and then getting abused by the people around you. And always remember, when someone narcissistic is giving, it's manipulation. So sometimes they will give you what you want and they will give you what you need to love bomb you, or to reel you back in, or to hoover you back in to a relationship, or to stop you from leaving a relationship. So it's always used as a manipulation tool when they give. And again, that's why I said, you know, when you're giving to the narcissist, they believe that you're trying to manipulate them, and they're like, That's why they never appreciate anything you do, because they always believe that you're manipulating them until the penny drops one day. Until the penny drops. But until then, they think that you're really doing a great job in attempting to manipulate them, and they always try to outsmart you. I think the empaths, you know, I get so many empaths coming to me in, you know, coaching calls, and they're like, you know, whatever I do, they're never happy, they never appreciate it, they never see it. I'm like, yeah, because he thinks you're manipulating. Simple. Because that's what they do with you. That is what they do with you. And the one thing that narcissist fears more than anything, you know, aside from abandonment, is being destroyed. So because they have that intention to destroy the empath by giving them false hopes and false empathy, and then, you know, the empathy crashes and burns later when the narcissist discards them, they believe that you're going to do that to them as well. So they're terrified of being with an empath, because they believe that you're building them up onto, you know, to sit on a very high pedestal, only to push them off the pedestal later on. They're terrified of that. They're terrified that that is what you're doing to them. So they're always on guard. And that's why they can never receive what you do in a healthy way. Because they're always on guard and they always live in a state of fear. They always live in a state of paranoia and worry that if I go along with this and I accept it and I enjoy everything the empath is doing for me and everything to help me, then I'm really going to get hit hard when the empath pulls the rug from underneath my feet and leaves me on my own. They're terrified of that. That's what they believe you're going to do to them. So they don't allow themselves, again, going back to the beginning of this podcast, when I said that they've got a limit to how much they can be happy and allow themselves to be happy. It's because they're so terrified of being destroyed, of being let down, of being disappointed, of being brokenhearted. They don't want to experience heartbreak. A narcissist is terrified of experiencing heartbreak. So they do whatever they can to protect themselves from experiencing it. And they do it from the beginning. They do it in advance. So if they see someone be nice to them, they're already on high alert that this person is manipulating them. So they never actually experience happiness when being with an empath because they're always on high guard all the time, high alert that this person is going to ruin me later if I allow myself to be happy. So they don't allow themselves to be happy for very long for that reason. So it is very important if you're an empath or you have high empathic traits to protect that empathy. Okay, please protect it because you're going to be so heartbroken when the people you invest in with your empathy and kindness don't see it for what it is. When they don't see it for what it is, you're the one who's going to get so sad. And you're the one who's going to get heartbroken because you've put so much into someone. You've invested so much love into somebody only for them to not see it and only for them to discard you and walk away and reverse discard you and let you go and not fight for you and whatever comes with it or devalue you. You're the one who's going to get brokenhearted because you didn't invest it in the right person. You've got to be really careful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you this beautiful diamond of a gift. You need to protect it. You need to save it for the right people. Save it for those who are really in need of it. Like true charity. True charity is when you give someone something or service, not expecting anything in return because you know that they can't pay you back. They know that they actually can't do anything for you. So when you give knowing that. You give knowing that it is purely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're banking it for the next world. But when you know that when you're helping somebody and you know that that person might help you one day in the future with business advice or business help or, whatever it is, that doesn't become charity. It just becomes an act of kindness. An act of service that you do for somebody because you just want to help them out. But if, for example, you're helping a very frail old lady cross the road, you're not expecting anything from her. She's in her 90s. She's in her 80s or 90s. You've helped her cross the road. Alhamdulillah, she managed to get home safe. Are you expecting anything from that lady? No, you're not. But if you were to help someone with their business or lend someone money, perhaps you might bank on the fact that if I lend this person money now, they might help me later when I need them. So know the difference between true acts of charity and those that are just acts of kindness. Please protect your empathy. It's the best gift that you can have. If you lose your empathy, you will lose everything that's attached to it. And what's attached to it is, again, mercy. It's love and kindness and your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and relationships even. If you lose your empathy, you might lose your relationships around you. So don't let a narcissist get you to that point where they steal your empathy from you because of a bad experience, because you're brokenhearted. And you say to yourself, I'm never going to do that again for anybody. I will never be kind. I will never be this loving again. I will never invest so much of my time in somebody. I will never go out of my way to help someone and build them up, only for them to leave me for someone else, or only for them to not appreciate anything, and for this whole time they thought I was another narcissist like them. Don't put yourself in that position to be used that way, and to forbid yourself from giving it to the right person one day. Because giving and investing in another empath is the most beautiful thing when it comes to relationships. It might be a sibling in your house that you decide to put more effort into because they're empathic, or the empathic parent, or your empathic husband or wife, or someone that you want to get married to. If that person is empathic, you will really enjoy so much giving so much to that person, because you know that they receive it as an empath, they see it as an empath, and they will also invest back in you the same way. And that's why the most successful marriages, the happiest marriages and relationships, are those where empaths are together. Whether it's husband and wife, parental relationships with their children, the empath parent will always have a wonderful relationship with their empath child. Always. The siblings that are most like each other will always get on better when it comes to them being empathic, because they look out for each other. So, don't deprive yourself of that experience by saying never again will I ever do this for anybody, because you got brokenhearted and disappointed and let down. That empath is out there. If you're looking for someone to get married to, do not settle for anyone who is not an empath if you're empathic. Never. Because that's where your true happiness is. It doesn't matter what you've given someone before. What you can give another empath will be way more than what you've given a narcissist. Way more. Because you will get watered back. You'll be a plant that they will always water and take care of. And it will flourish and it will bloom and it will, it will become something really beautiful. It will blossom into a beautiful tree. That's what happens when you're in a relationship with an empath. So even if you feel depleted now, if you feel depleted from a previous experience, a previous marriage, you're so sick of the abuse that you've been through, maybe a child custody case, court case, and you're an empath and you think, I can't do this again. I can't give anymore. I can't be with someone ever again, because no one appreciates, no one is worth the investment. I'd rather stay single all my life. Never going to get married again. I hear a lot of men and women say this. And then what happens, unfortunately, is the empaths that got depleted and exhausted and brokenhearted from a toxic relationship before, they deprive themselves from a healthy relationship with another empath, not knowing what they could achieve with another empath. So when two empaths come together, even if they're broken, even if they're broken from a previous relationship, but they've healed, they understand this, they've got self-awareness of what they've been through and who they are, and they know that they're empaths, they can rebuild each other. You can invest in each other and rebuild each other, water each other, take care of each other. I promise you, I've seen it. I've seen it happen. I've seen broken empaths come together, and honestly, they've done amazing things. They've raised amazing children. Even the children that they had from previous relationships with narcissists, they brought them together and they brought them up in the most beautiful home. Because that's what happens when two empaths come together. Don't underestimate the power of that. If you're an empath and you've come out of something toxic, don't lose hope. Always have that aspiration to one day be with another empath, because that empath will lift you. And if you never do meet someone to get married to, surround yourself with empathic friends, your empathic siblings, an empathic parent, whoever. Always be in the presence of at least another empath, another high-level empath to elevate you. That empath will help you elevate. So don't say, because of everything I've been through, I'll never do that again. There aren't any good people out there in the world. Or there are plenty of people out there in the world, but they're all thinking the same as you. They're all sitting at home with no hope, thinking that I'll never find an empath. I'll never find someone good. No one will ever appreciate me. They're all there thinking the same way you do. So, don't give up. Don't give up. The relationship you have with an empath will bring out parts of you never knew existed. They will bring life to you. They will make you forget everything you've been through, all that toxic rubbish you've been through. All of it will just disappear with another empath. And you'll find yourself giving 10 times more in this relationship than you did with the previous one. Just when you thought you couldn't give any more, you will surprise yourself at how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the empath to give back to other people. You will be so surprised at yourself at how much there really is inside you to give when you're with the right person. So I just wanted to touch upon that because it's something that I hear a lot, and it honestly does make me feel sad that there are so many empaths out there who are broken. And, it's one of the reasons why empaths don't really meet each other easily. Empaths don't meet each other easily because of this. Because they feel depleted and drained. And they've lost hope that, there are good people out there as well who are like them. There are plenty of people out there like them. Plenty. You've just got to heal. And once you heal, honestly, that person will just appear in your life out of absolute nowhere. You will not find or meet another empath until you've done the work on yourself to heal and value the empathy and make a conscious decision to never invest your empathy into someone who's not empathic ever again when it comes to relationships and marriage and all of that. When you make that conscious decision and you have that self-awareness and you heal from what you've been through with a narcissist, that's when you'll find the healed empath will just pop up in your life out of nowhere. He could be sitting on a park bench next to you, or be a member of the same book club, or it could be on a trip that you're on. You never know. But your future partner is your rizq. And your rizq has already been written for you, and your rizq will find you if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has willed for it to find you. Allah promises good men are for good women and good women for good men. So Allah just wants you to heal and be aware so that you will appreciate another empath, recognize another empath, and only invest in another empath. Once you realize these three things, and above everything else that you are an empath, once you realize these things, that person will turn up in your life. And your rizq will always find you. Always find you. You don't have to worry about not doing enough, not putting yourself out there enough to find somebody. Your rizq will come straight to you. Because no one will die, no one will leave this dunya without having all of the rizq that was written for them. So don't get obsessed, searching, looking. Don't get depressed and anxious that that person hasn't turned up in your life or you haven't found that person. Just chill. Just chill. Get on with your life. Work on yourself. Work on your healing. Appreciate this gift Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, and that person will come out of nowhere. There's a beautiful hadith Qudsi in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us, O son of Adam, or O people of Adam, I created you to worship me, so do not behave in an irresponsible manner. I have already assigned your rizq, your sustenance, so do not overexert yourself. If you are happy and content with what I have allotted to you, your heart and body will be at ease, and you will be regarded as praiseworthy according to me. But if you are not happy with what I have allotted to you, then I will shower the world upon you, and you will run around like a wild animal in the desert, and you will still only receive what I have allotted for you, but then you will be considered as being blameworthy because you weren't content. So Don't exhaust yourself running after your rizq, looking for your rizq. Allah knows what's best for you. Allah knows what's best for you. Allah knows what's coming to you. Allah knows that you need to prepare for this person to come so that you can have the best relationship with this person ever. Ever. But when you are so preoccupied and overexert yourself, worrying if this person's ever going to come before you're 40 or before you're 30, worrying if you're ever going to have children or not, Allah knows best. Allah knows best. Be content with the fact that Allah knows what's best for you. If you don't have children, if you don't get married, Allah knows best. Allah knows why. Allah knows what He's protected you from. Allah knows what other plans He had for you that maybe marriage and children would have distracted you from. So contentment is everything. Contentment, kindness, empathy is everything that we need to be happy in this dunya. It's a really important piece of information that the empath gets prayed for by so many people more than any other person. So always have hope that even if it's just one person's dua out there, that could be the answer to everything good in your life, everything good that's coming to you. No one prays for anyone like people do for empaths because of how loving and kind and caring and helpful they are to everybody. So you're gathering the dua of loads and loads of people, and perhaps one of those duas are going to change your life. So have hope. If you're an empath, you've got a lot of hope to hold on to because of all the people who love you and who pray for you and remember you in good times and remember you in their prayers and remember you in tahajjud and remember you in hajj and remember you in umrah. You think that goes to nothing? It definitely doesn't. So if you're praying for yourself and your parents are praying for you and your family's praying for you and everyone else is praying for you too, and you still don't have hope that, you could have a good life or that you could heal or meet the love of your life and the best person ever, you've got an iman problem. You've really got to work on your iman, because this is the sad reality of a lot of empaths out there. I'm talking about low-level empaths, because high-level empaths, they do have that tawakkul and they have that iman. But I'm talking about empaths who I come across quite regularly. And they're such beautiful people, but their iman is so low, and they pray and everything, but they don't have that hope in ever meeting someone good, ever. So this is a message for you. If you're an empath and you just have no hope in meeting anyone good, always remember this. Always remember that you have the dua of so many people. Not only will it save you and bring you beautiful blessings in this life, but the next life too, inshallah. So I hope I'm leaving you with that comfort today of something to always remember. I want you to always remember that and never forget it. Because if you forget it, you're losing such a big part of who you could potentially be as a happy person, as a happier person. Always remember you have that on your side to help you through life. All the dua of people you've helped, Allah will remove so many distresses and He will send you people to help you when you need it. That's what we call, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he said, Allahumma sakhir li'ibadika as-salihin. Oh Allah, send me the people who will help me in my life. Send me the good. And they, ibadika as-salihin could be animals, could be people, could be anyone. Some people just turn up in your life out of the blue to help you with something or give you advice or, help you get a job or whatever it is. Always say that dua in your sujood, in your dua. There's two dua. Allahumma inni lima anzaltu ilayya min khairin faqir. This is the dua of Musa alayhi salam. Oh Allah, I am in need of any good that you can send my way. And the other one, which is Allahumma sakhir li'ibadika as-salihin. And taskhir al-ibad, like the blessing of having the right people sent to you to have certain needs fulfilled in your life. Like, it could be anything. It's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes Allah will send someone your way because through that person, they have gained reward in helping you. And we do that with each other. That's why we're meant to help each other. We are vessels for each other to help each other in this life. So maybe you and I are a vessel to help others with knowledge and help others with healing and whatnot. So always remember that you have that on your side. You have that hope that Allah is with you and the dua of the people are with you, and you've got your own dua as well. So you've got a lot to work with to have no worries about the future. I'm going to end this podcast with a beautiful ayah in Surah An-Nisa, verse 36, which Allah says, وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا وَبِذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى وَالْمَسَاكِينِ وَالْجَارِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْجَارِ الْجُنُبِ وَالصَّاحِبِ بِالْجَنبِ وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ وَمَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ مَنْ كَانَ مُخْتَالًا فَخُورًا. Worship Allah and associate nothing with Him, and to parents do good, and to the relatives, the orphans, the needy, the near neighbour, the neighbour who is far away, the companion at your side, your friends, the traveller, and those whom your right hand possess, like your servants and your employees. Indeed, Allah does not like those who are self-delusional and boastful. So this, again, it's another ayah in the Quran that teaches us the importance of being kind, of being giving, of being loving to everyone around us in the best way that we can. And it is those people who will win at the end of the day. So never see your kindness as weakness. Never see your empathy as your downfall in life, as a hindrance to your progress. Let people think that you're weak. Let people think that you're stupid. You know the gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you because they don't have it. People who believe kindness is a weakness are those who don't have it. They're not blessed with that empathy. So don't let them bring you down with their delusional mindset about the gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon you. So I hope that inshallah you have enjoyed this podcast. I hope you've benefited from it, inshallah. I hope it's given you some comfort, education, knowledge, and everything that you need to at least start appreciating your empathy and knowing your value as an empath. You've got to know your value as an empath in the world. It's a massive, massive deal to have empathy. And narcissists can achieve it as well. A lot of narcissists say their hope for change. Please look at my other podcast, guys. I teach you how to build up your empathy and decrease your arrogance. Like I said, I've got, alhamdulillah, I've got narcissistic clients. They're doing amazing, honestly amazing with their progress because they've come out of free will of wanting to change. Some people did listen to my podcast, and when they learnt about the qareen, they decided to come for one-to-one counselling. And mashallah, honestly, like some of them have made such a massive transformation in who they are as people because they've learnt how to elevate their nafs and elevate their amount of empathy. So it can be done, all right? It can be done. And just because there are narcissists out there in the world doesn't mean they have to stay narcissists forever. It doesn't mean they have to die as narcissists. There's always hope to change. And, at the end of the day, I don't have any hate for narcissists. I just warn people and help people to deal with their toxic behavior, their vile behavior. But can a narcissist change? Yes. But there has to be awareness and education and knowledge about how to deal with a narcissist's vile behavior in order to save others and protect them from the abuse of, the narcissist and their qareen. So thank you so much for listening. If you have stayed with me until now, please do like the video. Please do share and subscribe to the channel for more related content. when you like the video, you really help it to appear in search results, and we can really help to push this knowledge out to those who need it the most. So yeah, please do share it with those who you feel will benefit from my podcasts. And I do offer one-to-one counselling and coaching. Just email me, author@themuslimnarcissist.com. I've got the link below. Just do reach out to me if you need some help. And as always, do comment and ask any questions. If there's anything that's not clear, I'm happy to answer you. Until the next podcast, inshallah, have a great week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.